there was one that Amanda and I were doing that I like had to get something from behind, and I bent over, and my ass was on the camera.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, that was fun.
Hold on, now you can see the mess in my office. Let me fix this.
It's okay. You're cute. They'll look at you instead.
I just shoved the pile of bills so you couldn't see it.
Just hit it, Jen.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that right now. Cool. Hi, guys.
Hi.
How are you? Forgot what I was going to say. All right. We're talking about codependency today. Right?
Yes.
So I know codependency is a topic near and dear to all of our hearts. And it's become kind of a buzzword in social media lately. Do one of you want to talk a little bit about what codependency is for the HC? Like what our version of codependency or our perception of codependency is?
I would nominate Amber for that because I think she does it really eloquently.
She does.
Much more than me.
Oh, well, thank you, Stacey. I got really excited when you started talking. I was like, yes, let's do it. I'd be happy to. And I feel like doing a 15-minute video on codependency is going to be really hard because I could speak on it for a whole week. However, I start out with the Amberisms of codependency because it's how I was able to even understand what the hell it is. There's synonyms for it, right? Like people pleasing, enablers. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. What are the other ones?
Control addict.
Control addict.
Uh-huh. Perfectionist.
Yeah. Codependency, and Amberism, a definition of codependency is
I've heard you say codependency is doing all the wrong things for the right reasons.
Oh yeah, that too.
And that it comes from a place of compassion.
And I've heard you say that it is rooted in trauma and it's a survival tool.
Yeah.
Good job. That's what I was going to say.
We've talked about this a little bit.
Yeah. Codependency, the basis or the intention of codependency is to create stabilization or homeostasis. So frequently, codependency by our culture is a bad thing. And actually, its intention is to stabilize the family system. What makes it dysfunctional is that it's never repaired. So lots of things can cause codependency. It's not just addiction or alcoholism. It's major loss or trauma to a family. It's major medical condition to a parent. Lots of things can cause codependency. And when we know that it's actually intended to bring back balance, what prevents it from being healthy is that it's not repaired, and role confusion continues without putting structure back in place.
So codependency itself is not bad or wrong. It is sometimes necessary for survival, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yes.
However, the issue, it becomes an issue when it's not repaired, when you get stuck in that state of survival indefinitely.
Exactly. A lot like people that come in to work with us that are numbing and medicating on alcohol or on medications that they were originally prescribed. And what they frequently say is, I don't know how I got here.
Yeah.
Like I just crossed this imaginary line and now all of a sudden I have a problem with it. And that's ultimately what the process of codependency is too. Like it has an intention to take pain away when I'm numbing and medicating. And what happens is I do it in excess, which is what creates the dysfunction.
In my mind, as you were talking about that, I got this image of like, you know, when you're driving and all of a sudden you're at the next exit and you don't know how you got there. And that's kind of the metaphor, the image that popped into my brain of it's I'm so disconnected from my body and what's happening around me, and I'm just doing what I always have done. And I don't realize that I got from point A to point Z.
Mm-hmm.
I like that metaphor, Jen. It's like autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I start doing something out of necessity because that's where my family is and what's needed to get us through a crisis event. But then once the crisis event is over, I just stay on autopilot, doing what I was doing before when it's no longer needed and it's no longer serving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So where do we learn this? How do we learn that codependency is what I do to survive?
Hey, Stace, will you talk about how codependency is really reinforced and conditioned by family culture and just our culture in general?
Absolutely. This has been a soapbox for me recently and in my own recovery growing up in the South in a traditional farming family with traditional expectations and roles. And um, a lot of the phrases that get used to praise behavior or give positive feedback are there actually to reinforce dysfunctional behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So when the oldest child of the family doesn't have any needs and can do everything for themselves and is winning all the awards and is a straight A student and we don't have to worry about that one. She's so good.
Mm-hmm.
She's so independent. The words that get used make it sound so positive, but what it's reinforcing is her not having needs. Or I think a lot about it going the other way as well with even my family when my grandparents were getting older and my grandmother was not able to do as much as she had done before. And um, my grandfather got reinforced for being so strong
Mm-hmm.
and for handling it so well. And all that was really reinforcing. Those are compliments. You're doing so great. I hope that one day I can do things the way that you do and I can be as strong as you. When really what it's reinforcing is numbing out feelings
Mm-hmm.
and not going through a natural human grief process that happens with big transitions and loss. Phrases like, she's such a good girl and she's takes care of her mama and
Mm-hmm.
she looks out for her little sisters and all of the things that are not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I was a big sister, and when I was at school, of course I want to look out for my little sister. But when that becomes fixed and isolated as my role, and I'm not able to step out of that because it's so reinforced that it's now my job and no one else is going to do it if I don't, then it's dysfunctional for me because I can't have needs anymore.
Yeah, that really resonates for me. Just thinking about hearing my grandmother say some of those things to me of, you're my favorite, you're so smart, I never have to worry about you, you're so perfect. Like, she would literally say these things to me. You're so this, you're so that, and little me wanting to keep that, wanting to keep that view she had of me, but then also hearing her talk about my mom in that way. My mom, everybody knew my mom was my grandmother's favorite. She was the oldest daughter. And just interesting, my mom, I don't remember my mom saying those things to me, but I remember hearing my grandmother say them to her and hearing my grandmother say them to me and wondering how much of my mom's behavior like modeled for me how to be codependent, because we were both trying to meet that kind of like, don't be a burden, just kind of put your head down and do what's expected, and the family will be proud of you. And
Mhm.
you know, all the other family members, my sister was definitely a scapegoat. She couldn't do anything right. I did everything right. Um, Whether that was true or not, that was the perception. And then not wanting to be viewed as not doing things right and being viewed as um, a fuck up.
Mhm.
Not saying my sister was, but that was the perception in especially the extended family.
Yeah.
And that had a huge impact on both of our trajectories, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. One of the phrases that sticks out to me is one that got used in my family system was fix your face.
Mm,
Um, when we're having feelings about something and someone, we need to walk into church, or we need to go into this family dinner, or whatever is getting ready to happen, um, fix your face.
mm,
And we always knew that that meant chuck away whatever you're feeling, chuck away whatever you're frustrated about. Show up in a way that makes everyone else when we walk in feel comfortable. Because if you walk in and you're upset clearly about something, everyone's going to be uncomfortable.
mm,
And that's bad. Discomfort equals bad instead of discomfort equals human.
mm,
I know with the questions I get around codependency, it is very much questions around, well, are you just codependent with one person?
mm. I've heard that
And
before.
Mhm.
another Amberism is codependency is a relationship language. And exactly as to what you guys are describing of the root of it, like where it comes from, is what defines that it's not in with just one person. Because it's also not just conditioned through family culture, it's conditioned through school and through coaches and um, extended family members and just our culture in general. And it really influences, you're so strong, you're so
Mhm,
good. And that becomes the identity that's what gets me attention,
Mhm.
is that's what I become. And that's how I learn to navigate my relationships. And so codependency being a relationship language is how I show up in relationship, not how I show up in one relationship.
mhm,
And that is because it's really conditioned through more than one interaction.
mhm,
I love that. I think it encourages so much ownership. I think about, really there are conversations I've had where the phrase is that gets used as codependent on, I'm codependent on my mom, or I'm
Mm,
codependent on my dad.
yeah.
It just encourages so much ownership of it's not about who's on the other side of it. The codependency is me thing. The codependency is learned so that I can help manage the environment around me,
mhm,
and exert some sense of control through adjusting my behavior or presentation to make sure that other people are uncomfortable, therefore I'm not uncomfortable. It's a me thing. It's not about being who's on the other side codependent on my dog. Maybe
Yeah.
my dog.
Yeah. Well, it also really reinforces principles that, like Al Anon, a 12-step program, uses. It says, I didn't cause it, I can't cure it, and I sure as hell can't control it. Is
mhm,
because it's something that was put on me. It's not innate in me.
mhm,
And if it's put on me, or if it's a survival skill that I have to learn to observe the room and make note of what's happening so that I'm safe,
mhm.
it also means that it's something that I can recover from because it's not innate in me.
Yeah.
Um, which gives a lot of hope, because I think a lot of people will be able to connect with a lot of the stories that we're sharing and kind of where it comes from. And it's not just with an alcoholic family, or um, how it is actually initially used for support as opposed to dis-ease or disease, and being able to look at oh, so that the repair is what's needed.
Mhm.
Because that's absolutely what we do for codependency is how do we teach the reparenting, which is the repair that we never got.
Yeah. I also like how you said, Stacey, about the ownership, and kind of combined with what you were just saying, Amber. It's something that was put on me, that happened to me, but also as an adult, it's now my responsibility to heal from.
Yeah,
That
I
it's
wish someone apologizing to me would heal it.
Mhm.
And what I've experienced is it's never done anything.
Nope.
And that's rooted in power, right? If someone's apology can take away my feelings, that means they have my power.
Mhm.
And when it's mine to heal and I get the responsibility of healing it through reparenting, through ACA, whichever program works, it becomes mine and I decide when I'm done grieving it. And I decide when I heal it.
Mhm.
So I hold my power rather than an external locus of control.
I love that. So we will talk more about reparenting and how that helps heal and repair some of our codependency. Um, and we'll talk a little bit more about codependency and some family of origin roles and other things that show up in later episodes. Thank you for joining me, ladies.
Thanks, Jen.
Yeah.